Today I want to talk about a tip that I developed over the years. Something that you will encounter if you build websites or applications of any kind doing using JavaScript or any framework really. You will have to list things. And in TypeScript, which is what I use, you cannot um, assign objects to enums. So they lack usefulness in that sense. And I still wanted to have type safety and have my lists. So what I created was, I came up with this array plus map object combination. And what I do is I first create an array and define it as const. I define it as const so that I can have this car brand type and also have the array to use in the application and list the options. If I don't do as const, it's just going to be a string array. And so I make it a read-only array and then define the type for the array. And then I create the mapped object. In this case, I call it meta as metadata, it's like data for the list, and define the keys as the list. So in this case, the keys of the object will be the car brands. And then you can assign any type of data that you want here, which will be the values of the keys. Here I'm saying the display name and the year it was founded. Don't think this is AI generated. I don't know if this is accurate, so it doesn't matter. And then when I define the actual object, the map object, I define it as const because I don't need this object to change. And so it will be a read-only object. And also I use the satisfies key. This is a TypeScript thing. And this is important. The satisfy is important because when I'm defining the object, it doesn't let me make a mistake with the data that I'm defining. So I cannot define a new key called BM or Ferrari or whatever. This is not going to work because Ferrari does not exist in here in the list. If I don't do that, I could add Ferrari, but that's not going to be on the list, and that's going to be a problem when I'm going over this data, and maybe I want this to show, but why is it not showing? So we want to be accurate. So I do the satisfies, and that way I make sure that every key here will be contained in this object. Now I explore other options. Let's say, for example, but let's go back and see how that applies in the code when you actually use it before we go over the other examples. And so this is the array. So I use the array to create the list. I map over it, and then I use the meta, the map object, to render the data that I want here. And so I loop over the brands, and then I use the map object to get the display name and then the founded year. And that's about it. Everything works perfectly. And I have the type inference, so I know that it won't let me make a mistake here. Also, I get the ability to do this. For example, I can simply just get one of the keys for any reason and say this is my car. I have a variable here, and I can just call it, and I know that it won't let me make a mistake here. So it will be Toyota. If I change this to, I don't know, Lexus or whatever, I will get an error because the property is not defined. It doesn't exist in the car brand list. Also, I can just use like this. It will autocomplete for me, which is good to have always. That's nice. And it just won't let me make a mistake. So like you see, both of these cases fail. In this case, Ferrari is not defined, it doesn't exist. And my second car here I define as a Porsche. Unfortunately, I don't have one. I don't have a Porsche, but that's not the point. The point is that Porsche is not defined in the list, so it's just gonna fail. So we stay, true to TypeScript with all the type safety, and that makes our life much easier. Now to see the other examples, because I went over the options to find the best one. If I created, for example, just the object without the array, I'm not gonna have an object, a good array to loop over. It's just gonna be a type string array. Here, what I'm saying is I'm just defining just defining the data, the list of cars and whatever, and then I'm getting the keys from the object here. But object.keys cannot infer this. So I'm not gonna get a type that's gonna be equal to the keys. And also, and I want that. I want the best type safety possible. And so this is not an option for me. We also have the option of creating a nested array, and it works up to a point. We have, if we go back to the listing of the nested array, it works, pretty well. I have the infer types for the brand and the meta, but I cannot do this. Like I cannot call one of the items in the list. It would have to be a number like this, and it could be undefined still. So this is just bad. I don't want to deal with numbers, and because I cannot pass a variable like this and call, because I want to get Toyota, I want to get Porsche. I cannot do that. It's just not gonna work. So that's not an option either. A nested array. Lastly, we could do maps. A JavaScript map. But the problem with the map is that this value could be undefined. You could modify the map unintentionally and delete the Toyota, because I can like delete Toyota here, and then this would be undefined, and I don't want that. I just want to go over this list. I don't want it to. I want it to be modifiable. That's why I define it here as const, because I don't want to change this in any way. And so the maps is it's not ideal either. So we could use it here. We could list. It's also not ideal here because you have to do like array from car brand entries. That's ugly. But you can get a list from the map. But as I said, it could be undefined. So this is, not good. I don't like it. This is not allowed with the maps. It will, it will work like the good array plus map object option, in the sense that it will not let you call a key that doesn't exist. But as I said, even having that doesn't mean that you will not get an undefined value. Um, because I'm defining the keys here, so that's why it's failing if I try to call a key that doesn't exist. And yeah, I think this is the best option. I don't think it gets better than this, and it's really helpful and useful. I use it all the time, and I have a massive list, and I do this as con satisfy. It's like I love it. This one line here, I use it so much, and it makes everything so much better. So I hope you use it too. Get some good use out of it. Get some good type inference and type safety. Stay safe.